Welcome to the deep dive. Okay, we are jumping straight into your research stack today for what might be one of the most counterintuitive ideas in, well, modern life. We're talking about the art of strategic laziness.
It really does sound like a contradiction, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Especially now. I mean, everyone seems to be wearing busyness like a badge of honor, right?
Hmm.
Always juggling, always optimizing,
Right.
celebrating burnout almost.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the idea that laziness could actually be a strategy feels pretty radical.
Absolutely. I have to say, when I saw the title for this dive, I was immediately hooked. Because the sources we're looking at today, they're not actually advocating for apathy, are they? Or, just giving up.
Not at all. No, this is about a fundamental redefinition. It's about efficiency, but maybe not how we usually think about it.
Right. So our mission here really is to figure out the shortcut. How can we, as learners, as people trying to achieve things, get more done by intentionally doing less, but doing that less, well, better?
Exactly. And step one is we need to kind of shed that negative baggage around the word lazy. Forget the moral judgment for a minute. We're talking strategic efficiency, smart energy management.
Okay.
Because the sources are quite blunt, actually. They argue that a lot of what passes for busyness is often just social performance, looking busy. Or, maybe worse, it's a sign you haven't figured out your priorities.
Oof. Yeah. That feeling of guilt if you're not constantly on, I think that resonates with a lot of us.
It does.
But okay, if the goal is frictionless flow, like you said, not just exhaustion, we need a mind shift. So let's start there. The philosophy. Why is our usual take on laziness that it's just plain bad? Why is that flawed according to this material?
Well, the core problem is confusing inaction with selective action. The real insight here, the sources argue, is that true strategic laziness is the skill, maybe even the wisdom, of knowing what not to do.
Ah, okay. So it's less about motivation and more about filter.
Precisely. It's about wisdom, distinguishing the essential, the signal, from all the surrounding noise. Because think about it. Effort without clear purpose, that's a direct path to burnout.
Right.
Smart laziness, as they frame it, means you're very deliberate. You apply your effort, your energy, only where it's going to have the biggest impact, like a laser, not a floodlight.
And what's really interesting is this isn't just some new productivity trend. You found connections going way back. Right?
Oh, yeah, deep roots. This idea of non-doing, or maybe effortless action, it echoes really strongly with ancient concepts like Wu Wei from Taoism.
Wu Wei. Remind us.
It's often translated as effortless action. It's not about doing literally nothing. It's about acting in alignment with the natural flow of things, so there's no unnecessary strain.
Yeah.
Think of a river flowing to the sea. It doesn't force its way. It finds the path of least resistance.
Okay, acting in alignment, not just acting constantly. That makes sense.
And that ties directly into this other core idea, energy economics.
Right, treating our mental energy like money.
Exactly like money. It's a finite, valuable resource.
Right.
You wouldn't just throw your savings away on something pointless, would you? So why spend your peak mental energy, your best hours, on low-value tasks or administrative clutter?
That's a powerful analogy.
High achievers, the sources suggest, are really good energy economists. They guard their energy. They know when to conserve it and when to deploy it with full focus strategically on that critical 20% of tasks that yield 80% of the results.
And we actually see the negative side of poor energy economics in the data, don't we? You shared those studies about the productivity paradox.
It's pretty stark. Productivity tends to fall off a cliff after around, 55 hours a week?
Yeah, something like that. So you're putting in more time, but getting less back. You're literally less effective.
You really are.
Mm-hmm.
Your brain and body just start resisting. And it points to this fundamental confusion in modern work culture. We mistake movement for progress, activity for actual value.
Just keep him busy.
Exactly. Churning away on tasks that don't really move the needle and often create more work down the line, fixing mistakes made in haste. Strategic laziness, ironically, forces that pause, that moment to reflect. Is this the right step?
Okay, I think the philosophy is clear. Stop chasing activity, start chasing leverage and alignment. So how do we actually do this? Let's get into the tools. Segment 2, strategic tools for the lazy achiever. Systems seem absolutely crucial here.
They're foundational. The whole idea is to replace that constant, draining reliance on willpower with supportive systems. Willpower, we know, is finite. It runs out. Systems ideally run themselves.
And there was that great quote you pulled out, laziness isn't about avoiding work, it's about working once so you never have to again.
That nails it. That's the essence. Think about practical examples. Setting up auto pay for bills, you do it once, then it's handled.
Right.
Or batching emails. Check them twice a day, maybe, instead of reacting to every notification. Or creating a really simple morning routine that just happens without thought.
So each system frees up mental energy.
Exactly. Every decision you automate, every bit of friction you remove, conserves that precious decision-making energy. And that energy is then available for the stuff that really matters: creative work, strategic thinking, problem solving.
Okay, now let's talk about something that really requires a mindset shift. Rest. We're taught rest is what you do when you're done, or maybe a reward. But here, it's positioned as a performance tool.
Yeah, and the neuroscience backs this up completely. Rest isn't passive downtime for the brain, it's incredibly active. That's when your brain consolidates learning, makes connections between different ideas, boosts problem solving. You literally solve problems better after stepping away.
We even see this historically, right? You mentioned Thomas Edison.
He famously used micronaps during intense inventing sessions. He didn't see it as giving up or being lazy. He saw it as part of the process, an incubation period almost that helped spark breakthroughs. He rested strategically.
So rest isn't indulgence, it's input.
It's essential input for optimal output. And achieving that requires something else the sources call mental minimalism.
Okay, what's that?
Basically acknowledging that a cluttered mind wastes energy. So the strategically lazy person is pretty ruthless about simplifying, pruning the to-do list down to the absolute essentials, limiting inputs, endless news feeds, notifications, unnecessary meetings.
Clearing the decks?
Exactly. Creating mental space enhances focus, creativity, and just a sense of calm, which itself saves energy.
Which logically leads to the power, maybe the necessity, of saying no. Because every yes to something unimportant is a no to something potentially vital.
You've got it. Energy and time are finite.
Yeah.
You have to protect them fiercely. Saying no to things that drain you without contributing to your main goals. Extra projects, draining social events, endless requests, not being difficult. It's essential self-preservation. It guards the time and focus needed for high-impact goals.
And then there is that connection to military or martial arts wisdom.
Right. Slow is smooth, smooth is fast.
Explain that one. How is slow fast?
Because rushing leads to mistakes. Mistakes mean rework, backtracking, wasted effort. Doing something slowly, deliberately, and correctly the first time is ultimately faster and far less draining. It's about precision and sustainability, not just speed. Strategic laziness aims for the long game.
Okay, this is all making a lot of sense philosophically and tactically. Let's get into the proof, the examples. Segment 3, case studies in intelligent restraint. And we can kick off with the math that sort of validates this whole approach.
Yeah, you have to start with the Pareto principle, the 80-20 rule. If anything deserves the title mathematical proof of laziness, this is it.
Right, the idea that roughly 80% of results come from only 20% of the effort.
Exactly. So the strategically lazy person doesn't spin their wheels trying to optimize that low-yield 80%. They focus intensely on identifying and maximizing that critical 20%. Everything else is secondary, or maybe even ignored.
And then on a smaller scale, there's that trick, the 2-minute rule. We usually hear about it for beating procrastination, but how is it lazy?
Well, it's proactive laziness. If a task takes less than 2 minutes, firing off that quick reply, putting that dish in the dishwasher, whatever, just do it immediately.
Why?
Because it eliminates the mental overhead. That task isn't sitting there taking up space in your brain, creating low-level stress or decision fatigue later. You zap it instantly. Do it once, eliminate it forever from your mental RAM. Saves energy cumulatively.
Okay, I get it. And this kind of thinking, this drive for efficiency and removing effort, it's behind some major business innovations, isn't it?
Absolutely. Bill Gates is the classic example, that famous quote about hiring a lazy person to do a hard job.
Because they'll find an easier way.
Precisely. They'll find a shortcut, they'll automate it, they'll build a system. Laziness, in that sense, fuels innovation because it's driven by the desire to reduce effort.
And we see it in customer-facing stuff, too, like Amazon's one-click purchase.
Textbook systemic laziness. Reduce the customer's effort to almost zero, make it incredibly easy to buy, and what happens? Sales go through the roof. They engineered the friction out of the system.
It's not just tech either, right? Look at someone like Warren Buffett.
Oh, Buffett is a masterclass in selective laziness. Spends most of his day just reading and thinking. Makes very few big investment decisions over long periods.
You wait.
He waits patiently for the absolute best opportunities, the ones with massive potential upside. He refuses to get caught up in the day-to-day noise and trading frenzy. He conserves his decision-making energy for the few bets that really count.
And the sources also brought up Tim Ferriss as a kind of modern example.
Yeah, Ferriss is often cited as someone who systemized this, automating his business, outsourcing routine tasks, basically designing his life so it could run smoothly without his constant grinding input.
So the goal wasn't just money, it was freedom from the work.
Exactly. Efficiency wasn't just about profit. It was about freeing up time and mental energy for other things. Travel, learning, new projects, without being constantly drained by the operational stuff.
I also like that the research included perspectives beyond the typical Western business examples.
Yes, the Japanese concept of madanai. It's this deep cultural idea of waste nothing.
Not just materials, but time and effort, too.
Exactly. It implies a respect for resources, maximizing the value you get from the minimum possible input, whether that's time, materials, or even physical motion. It's about elegance and efficiency born from respect.
And maybe the best overall metaphor for this whole concept was the lazy garden principle.
Ah, yes, permaculture.
It is really.
And you don't just fight nature constantly, weeding and watering. You spend significant effort up front, designing a system that largely sustains itself.
Power.
By choosing plants that support each other, using natural mulching, designing water flows, you create an ecosystem that thrives with minimal ongoing intervention. You work hard once on the design so you don't have to work hard continuously on maintenance.
That really captures it. Build the system, then let it run.
That's the essence of strategic laziness.
Okay, let's try and pull this all together. This deep dive, it seems, shows that this art of laziness isn't about becoming idle or unproductive. It's actually a path to, well, clarity and maybe more sustainable effectiveness.
I think that's right. It's about achieving that frictionless flow, living and working more gracefully. It's about finding harmony between ambition and ease, between purpose and rest, between achievement and, well, not burning yourself out. It's intelligent restraint.
So the lazy mindset, reframed this way, is actually a refusal. A refusal to waste your limited energy on things that don't truly matter. It's a form of wisdom, really.
It demands you prioritize ruthlessly, yes. And we think about how many great innovations like that one-click button or complex automation came from smart people trying to find easier ways to deal with tedious problems. Maybe we should leave our listeners with a final thought.
Okay, let's hear it.
Instead of just thinking about your to-do list for tomorrow, ask yourself this. What tedious, recurring task in your own life, if you could successfully eliminate it through automation or a better system, might actually free up the mental space for your next great insight or creative breakthrough?
Focus on building the system, not just pushing through with willpower.
That's the strategically lazy way.
Powerful thought. We'll see you next time on The Deep Dive.